Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now that we have seen the new meta update go live for the second half of Season 6 here in Warzone with various different weapon changes, I wanted to go through and break down my full top 10 best loadouts here for Warzone at the moment, and this very well could end up being the final major meta changes that we see before the MW3 Warzone integration in early December. Obviously, only time will tell. Maybe we see some surprise weapon drops or some surprise meta updates with buffs and nerfs, but for now, this is really all we expect to see until MW3 is fully integrated into Warzone. So as we get into the setups today, if you enjoy the video, if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It would be really appreciated. Let's try and aim for 1,500 likes on this one. And if you're new here or if you simply haven't subscribed yet, let's turn that around. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, because every single day I got you covered with news, updates, meta breakdowns, patch notes. If it's going on in COD, you'll find it right here. So the game is functioning as intended when it comes to previewing weapons here, but this first loadout we got is a combination of the Taq-V and the ISO 45, two absolute beasts when it comes to quick TTKs, and they cover long range, mid range, and close range really well. Real quick, on every single class, I'm always running smokes. I go back and forth between throwing knives and semtexes. If I'm playing Resurgence, I'm always going for knives. If I'm playing standard BR, I go for semtexes and vice versa there. And then perks pretty much always stay the same as well. I got overkill, double time, fast hands, high alert. There will be one loadout later on in the video where I have like my regain or my ghost loadout, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But initially, when it comes to these setups here for the weapons that do exist but not in the preview here for the Taq-V, this thing is, like I said, really good for TTK in the mid to long range here, and we're just focused on making it as easy to use as possible. I love the iron sights, so I don't actually use an optic here because they're just super clean. Even in like 50, 60, 70 meter fights, you can stay on target. So I got the combat rear grip, straight up better control, 50 round drum, nice extended mag, getting the job done there. High velocity ammo just because I don't use a barrel and I don't use an optic, so might as well throw this on. It helps out, makes the weapon feel a little bit more consistent. Rip runner barrel for that better stabilization, just obviously making it a bit easier to predict the recoil pattern there. And then the bore 490 compensator really focuses on horizontal control, and in turn makes this very easy to predict, and it's super easy to shoot over long range. Even though this is one of the bouncier guns in the game, still feels nice and stable and nice and reliable. So definitely a great choice for a main primary here, and throughout the video you can mix and match the primaries and secondaries as you want. ISO 45 setup here literally has not changed since it was implemented. Basically, this gun just never gets nerfed. It's been like arguably the #1 SMG in the game since it was added in. 45 round drum, sheer rear grip for better ADS and sprint to fire, cheetah stock for better mobility all around, 7mm laser for better ADS and sprint to fire. And then because there is some bounce on this SMG versus others, I like to have the KT85 compensator on there. Just helps out a little bit with vertical and horizontal control. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This thing has been crazy good for, like I said, basically forever when it comes down to it. So no point in updating it because it still fries. I see we're just not going to get any weapon previews today. Anyways, next setup is a combination of the Geist, which caught some slight nerfs recently, but it's still a super reliable rifle, and the MP7, a sort of do-it-all SMG, right? For the Geist here, this setup is really focusing on mid to long range, and it's super low recoil, so you're going to be able to actually have a really great realistic TTK that bests some weapons that might have better damage than it, just because you'll land more shots of this. So we got the AMOV V4 on here. If there's a different optic that you prefer more, always go ahead and run that instead. 45 round extended mag's the max here, but the fire rate's not crazy, so you don't really run out of ammo too fast at all. Rip runner barrel for the better stabilization and stability yet again. Bore 490 as well here for that better horizontal control, just makes the pattern a whole lot more predictable. Then I go for that 3-in-1 combo barrel, better recoil, better range, better velocity, better pizza Papa John's on here. Just again, optimizes it for the mid to long range, makes it nice and efficient for that. So fantastic rifle choice and truly my favorite rifle in the game at the moment. And then the MP7 setup, also one that really hasn't changed all that much as of late. Because this thing is so versatile and you can use this at like 10 meters or 30 meters, I do have the KT85 compensator on here for that better control, just makes this thing an absolute laser beam, really. 7mm laser on here yet again, RXT stock for better sprint speed and ADS speed, the soldier rear grip for ADS and sprint to fire, and then whatever extended mag you want. 50 round works fine, 60 also would work fine as well on there. Either or there, no real wrong answer, but MP7, one of the more reliable SMGs right now. Anyone can pick this thing up and do well with it. Hey, we actually see this one, the Kastov 545, a weapon that's really bumped up sort of indirectly lately. It's become a lot more competitive in the rifle category, and I paired this with the ISO 9mm that's also invisible. This thing is my favorite close range gun right now for hip fire, for ADS. It's so snappy and aggressive. I love the feel of this. It's just so good for those first 10-meter fights, which is primarily where you're using this Resurgence or standard BR. It just gets the job done. Much like the ISO 45, there's a bit of bounce here, so I like having the flash hider on on there, just helps out a little bit with recoil steadiness and doesn't have a huge ADS penalty. Outside of that, it's very standard. 7 milliwatt laser as always. The Res 2 stock is basically the same as the Cheetah over on the ISO 45. Sheer rear grip, same deal here, and the 50 round drum as well. So definitely not a unique setup by any means, but it feels great in game and absolutely fries up close. And then for the 5.45 here, this is a super low recoil rifle, so you don't really have to focus on much outside of just optimizing it for mid to long range. I like the AMOP V4 on here yet again. Irons aren't really doing it for me here. 45 round mag or 60, either or is going to work just fine here. 60 would be better for trios and quads and whatnot, but 45 is totally sufficient as well because it's just so accurate. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, it's super low recoil, so I'm personally comfortable with it. I go for the high velocity ammo in here just because, why not, right? But throwing on, you know, a Ripper under barrel or something instead of that just for straight up added control is going to be clutch for a lot of players as well. So you could go either or there. Harbinger suppressor will add in a little bit of control because it's a heavier one. It does have a slightly slower ADS because of that, but you're also getting better velocity and range. And I go for the K30 barrel, better control, velocity, and range on here as well. So very consistent rifle, one that I've been running for, you know, a little bit behind the scenes here and there, but now that all the other rifles have seemingly been nerfed to a certain extent, this one's now way more competitive. This next loadout, Sakin, super low recoil, heavy hitting LMG for mid to long range paired with the MP5, just a classic, right? Thing is absolutely insane up close. It's fast, agile, has a great TTK as well in those first 10 meters. You can't go wrong with it. I go for the 40 round mag here for the faster reload than 50, but 50 is sufficient as well. You could go either or there. TCG 10 rear grip for control, and I tune for the inverse of better mobility there, so I'm getting some ADS and sprint to fire there. Mobile stock gives you all the mobility benefits in the world yet again. 7 milliwatt laser. And then for even more mobility, I go for the Falcon barrel. Movement speed and ADS speed here is feeling great. So this thing, like I said, just becomes even snappier and even more aggressive once you build it out like this. Then for the Sakin, because this thing is so easy to use, you can just focus again on optimizing it for long range. So AMOP V4, and then I go overkill on the control attachments, honestly. Stip 40 rear grip, better control. Edge 47 under barrel, better stabilization, making it way more predictable as it already is, which is so straightforward. Polar Fire suppressor for the better velocity and range, and then the Silver Series barrel, better control, better pizza, better velocity, better range, just getting the job done nicely here. Now, of course, it's slow and heavy because it's an LMG, so prepare your fights accordingly. Next up, we got another setup that I've been running a bunch lately that I just love the feel of. The RAPP. You guys know I've ranted and raved about the RAPP for seasons now. This thing's been a sneaky good LMG for some time. It's got the best full auto TTK over long range, basically, and the Bas-P is feeling so good as of late because of how many buffs this thing's gotten. This setup is pretty aggressive, and it also is totally usable in the mid-range, where this thing really thrives over every other SMG. Flash hider on here again for the better steadiness. 7 milliwatt laser, flash V4 stock for sprint speed, strafe speed, ADS speed, Bruin flash rear grip for better ADS and sprint to fire, in the 50 round drum. This will have you jumping into squad engagements like no tomorrow, flying and frying, feeling super nice, super consistent. And then the RAPP setup again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This thing's been working for some time. AMOP V4, TCG 10 rear grip, straight up better control. Because the fire rate's so crazy, I'm still running the 100 round mag on here. That way I don't have to reload as often. It still takes forever, but if you can do it less, you might as well. Hound 9G grip. This is for better control, stability. It's going to make it way easier to use and offers a bit more of a boost over like something like Ripper, for instance, which is a nice hidden bonus that the RAPP's got going for it. Then the Talon suppressor here. Velocity, range, a little bit of added control as well because this is a heavier option. So again, it's just making the weapon easier to use. And for how good the TTK is here, this thing's recoil is surprisingly easy, which is very nice to see. Now this next setup, and again, won't preview, but this is more my experimental loadout. Yes, we've got the Lockwood, and even though it was nerfed, it's still really good for close range fights, unfortunately. And the Taq-56, Tony, True Game Data, has talked about this recently. Realistically, with accuracy factored in, this thing is really good and competitive in the rifle category now, and it's one that we're all familiar with. You can go ahead and run iron sights on it because it's, again, the SCAR based iron sights that are super clean, so I love that. I built this out pretty similar to the Taq-V, honestly. We got the combat rear grip, the 40 round mag, but if you want to jump up to 60, feel free to do so as always, right? High velocity, because why not? I mean, you could throw on a laser if you wanted to for a faster ADS, but high velo works well for the mid to long range. Ripper under barrel and Harbinger suppressor, yet again, no real changes there. So a very standard rifle setup, but nice that it's actually back into the competitive area now and something that's certainly usable for the mid and long range. And then close range with the Lockwood. Not a fan of shotguns whatsoever, but objectively, we can't deny this thing's crazy good for the close range, especially on like Resurgence. It's busted. We got the dual trigger. That's what makes it so good. I go for the high stock mod, faster ADS, sprint to fire, general movement there. 7 milliwatt laser for the snappier ADS. You're pretty much always ADSing with this if you want that one-shot kill, right? 812 barrel, better range, and then I also go for the Series 9 choke for the better range as well, extending that out a little bit. So even though it was nerfed, and obviously when you throw on something like Dragon's Breath of the Slug, it'll alter it some, and the Dragon's Breath's now a lot worse, but in general, it's still a nuisance up close. Another real fun one that's extremely versatile all around, the Razorback and the P90. The Razorback, statistically one of the easiest guns to use in the game, so if you want to pick up a weapon and just shoot straight with it and fry, this is a great choice. It's realistic TTK is phenomenal. P90, we go all in on mobility because of the default 50 round mag and the clean iron, so this thing flies across the map. I do use the KT85 compensator because this, like the MP7, is really good in the mid-range, so helps keep it consistent and steady. Outside of that, 7mm laser for the better ADS and sprint to fire. Behind the face cam, I've got the Taq-V comb, ADS and sprint to fire. Q900 rear grip, ADS and sprint to fire. Light rail, better movement speed. So this thing's going all in on mobility. I love the feel of it, and while it's been a bit of an underrated SMG, it absolutely can hold its own right now. Then the Razorback, this is a setup you guys probably are familiar with by now because we've been running it for several seasons, but with these attachments, it makes the recoil the most predictable in the game. AMOV V4 for my choice of optic. If you like something more, again, go for that. 60 round mag, you're gonna need it because the fire rate is faster here, so that's pretty much mandatory. High velocity on here because I don't run a barrel or a laser or anything. If you wanted to swap this out for something like that, though, feel free to do so. Proto grip must have here for the better horizontal control and better stabilization. Only attachment that does that. It's great. And then Komodo heavy, just better straight up horizontal control, makes this pattern super vertical and so predictable. Even over like 100 meters, you could fry with this thing because it's just that easy, which is very unique to pretty much just the Razorback in this game. As we know, most weapons recoil is really obnoxious. This, not so much. I do have a couple of different sniper loadouts I want to talk about. This first one here features the same Bas-P setup from earlier. It's a great sniper support choice and definitely the best out of the SMGs. And for standard pubs, the MCPR is great, whether you're playing Resurgence or standard BR, because it is going to be able to one-shot kill with the headshots while using the explosive mag. So of course we have that on there. I like the 5-round mag. This speeds things up a bit from the default 10, better movement, ADS, reload, everything like that. I don't like the base optic. I like the Forge Tac Delta 4. This is just a preference thing, though. I imagine many of you will like something different. If you're playing at nighttime, feel free to use like the Schlager Night View or something like that. Basically, it's just all preference for optic, though, for sure. OMX barrel, all I care about here is the better velocity, and same deal with the Nail Sound 90. Range is irrelevant here because we're only going for the one-shot headshots. Velo is what we're trying to gain back, and this does that all right. And then, like I said, same Bas-P setup as before. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I do have one loadout that's just specific to like regaining a little bit here, so I don't use overkill in this situation. And I oftentimes switch to this if I am able to grab that second loadout so I can change up my perks and be a bit more efficient. I go for double time, bomb squad, fast hands, then either bird's eye or ghost, which whatever one you value more. Also, if you find a vesting game that has the other, you could get both of them basically for free, which is pretty nice to see. So with that, I do use the Siege as a secondary. Definitely the best pistol here, great for underwater fights, standard fights. Even though it's not as good as an SMG, it's great as like a pocket SMG in a sense. 50 round drum is what most people will probably run. I run 72 because it's funny and it's hilarious to just spray and pray all that ammo with no worries in the world. Sir 160 rear grip for the better mobility there. Siege stock for some better control, just makes it a little bit easier there. The Diode laser, it's basically the 7mm equivalent. And then I go for the CMRN 50 barrel, just because this gives you some better velocity. And if I'm fighting underwater, you need that better velocity for sure. So that's pretty clutch for that. But as a secondary here, that's not like an SMG or a shotgun, it does get the job done pretty well. And then RPK is my main primary here. I like this. It's got plenty of ammo, is going to work for the mid to long range. It's very reliable and consistent here. AMOV V4 standard. I got the Demo X2 rear grip for better control. I do go for high velocity here because all the barrels kind of suck on this gun, so this will make it feel a bit more consistent. Of course, Ripper under barrel and Talent Suppressor here once more, very standard, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as we sort of rinsed and repeated throughout this video. Great as a consistent primary. And then lastly, I got one more sniper setup. This one you could switch between ranked and pubs. It's gonna work well either way. I got the Signal 50, and really here, we got the Schlager Night View. I've been running this some on the nighttime variants of the maps, and it's working really well. So this will let you see enemies a little bit more clearly. 7-round mag, just because this is semi-auto, you might as well spam it more before you're stuck reloading. High velocity ammo, it's gonna make it feel more like hit scan basically, and it can't one-shot, so you don't have to run explosive. Kilo barrel, better velocity. Cobra suppressor, better velocity as as well. So we're just going all in on that. It's going to be the easiest sniper to use. It also is just lower damage because obviously you can't one-shot headshot there. And then I pair this with the Avancer, by far the best sniper support rifle in the game in my opinion. This thing fries, honestly. Like, even over range, it's got a really good on paper TTK. The recoil is a bit rough when you get to 60, 70, 80 meters, but it's versatile for sure. Here I'm going for AMOV V4. I go for the 60 round mag because the fire rate is a bit faster. For sniper support, if you want to be a little bit quicker though, 45 would work well too. Ripper under barrel, making it predictable and easy. The 435 barrel for better control and velocity here. Again, just making it easier to use and more consistent. And the Harbinger suppressor once more, better range, velocity, and control on there. So whether this is your sniper support build or your standard primary build, whatever the case may be, it's going to work well. Like I said, a super versatile rifle. And that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this one. Those are the top 10 best loadouts in Warzone right now. If you guys enjoyed or if you found it helpful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.